A growing rumble in his stomach awoke Brian from his daydream. He realized he hadn't eaten since coming back from school, so he ran down the rickety stairs to the kitchen, looking for food, but instead found his mom in an irritated mood.
Why, in the name of hell, have you bought this block of junk?
She said while furiously slapping a fly.
The old one was broken, so I bought a new one.
Brian's dad shrugged without care.
It blocks up half the space in the kitchen. Can't you use some common sense for once in your life?
Brian walked over to see what all the fuss was about. It was a new grill. The old grill was measly and took an age to heat up. This new grill was a monster. Rippling with pristine black muscle, its harshly defined edges gave it a jacked-up physique, intimidating to even look at. Brian's mom was right. The grill seemed to block up the entire kitchen, seeming to assert its culinary dominance. On the bottom left of the grill, there were two lights, one red, one green. They seemed to stare like eyes, shining with an insatiable ego. Brian was too hungry to think much of it.
Calm down, Mom. It can't be so bad. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll make myself some food,
he said. Brian's mom chundered off in a huff while his dad went back upstairs to do his work. Brian deftly untied the packet of bread and plucked out 2 seizable loaves. He hacked apart a tomato and tossed the uneven chunks into the sandwich, along with a dry strip of cheese. Brian carefully placed it into the grill. Its immediate sizzling took Brian by mild surprise. A grill doesn't heat up that quickly. Brian plopped himself on the kitchen chair and waited, scrolling absent-mindedly through social media. His busy mind finally came to rest and relaxed. Suddenly, Brian heard a high-pitched tick. Ah, the sandwich is ready. Still gazing deeply into his phone, Brian sleepwalked to the grill and turned it off. Without looking, he slid his hand through the smooth jaws of the grill to collect his sandwich, but it wasn't there. Finally breaking eye contact with his phone, he inspected the grill. Brian scraped his hand over a smattering of crumbs in the grill's mouth, scorched, bitter black with heat. Brian checked throughout the kitchen, hoping that he'd forgotten to grill it. But it wasn't anywhere. Brian looked at the grill suspiciously. Don't be stupid. It's just a grill. I must have just forgotten to make it. It is laughable how easily the disbelief of the mysterious can distort the reality of the past within a human's feeble mind. And so, Brian went through the process of making a sandwich again. He executed each cut in slow motion to convince of his own sanity. This time, he chopped up some roughly cut onions. Its strong air teased a tear from Brian's eye. He quickly put the sandwich in the grill. Brian waited tensely, looking nervously into the gleaming shine of the grill's misplaced eyes. Snap out of it, Brian. It's just a grill. Brian forced himself into composure. It's just a grill. Brian began to scroll through social media again, willing himself into a digital trance. The familiar high-pitched tick interrupted. Brian floated towards the grill, eyes still on his phone. Forgetting to turn it off, he slid his hand through the grill to collect his sandwich. But then, it chomped. The jaws clamped down rapidly on Brian's wrist. The grill had no teeth. It had something far worse. It had searing, scalding heat. The heat slowly cooked Brian's hand to crisp. The waft of a strange meat was emerging. Brian reached out for the switch, writhing, screaming so vigorously that no sound came out. The grill kept him locked, unable to escape. After a few torturous minutes, Brian's hand and body began to separate, much like spiced salmon in a pan, slowly breaking away in tender ribbons and slivers. The waft of strange meat became a cacophony of disgust. The grill attempted to suck in the entirety of Brian. Its greed knew no bounds. Brian reached out again for the switch, not in desperation, but for pure survival. The grill bit harder and harder. Brian's hand finally detached from its owner. The hand was in tatters. Skin, blood, and muscle all scrambled together in a grisly omelet. The grill's eyes glinted with hunger. Its jaws momentarily lifted, allowing the meat to tumble down its gullet. Brian seized the chance and turned off the grill. Its rapid jaws and hungry eyes settled into a state of vacancy. There was silence. Brian was embroiled in pain, his newfound stump filled in flames. Small chunks of pungent meat dribbled down from his stump, dropping away slowly. Brian didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. So he cried. A few weeks later, Brian found himself in a mental institute. He tried to tell his parents it was an accident, but they wouldn't listen. The missing hand and the smell of cooked meat confirmed his guilt. Brian lived a life in a mental institute on autopilot. Anything else would have driven him to insanity. He tried to tell himself that he was just a troubled kid with crazy dreams and self-harming deeds, like they always told him. But it would never work. The whiff of weird meat that lingered around his stump reminded him of those hungry eyes.